In this video, I'll show you how to calculate a confidence interval for the mean where we don't assume that the population standard deviation is known. Instead, we'll estimate it from the sample, and therefore we have to use the t-distribution rather than the normal distribution. So here's our example data set. It's credit card balances for a sample of 70 households. And I'm going to estimate the standard deviation from the sample. So the function in Excel for doing that is stdev.s. And that gives us a sample standard deviation of 4007. Sample size is 70. Standard error is, as usual, standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. The sample mean is 9,312. We'll do a 95% confidence interval, or in other words, we're going to use an alpha of 0.05. So the confidence is just 100 times 1 minus 0.05. Then the t critical value we get using the t.inv function. There's only two arguments for this. The first argument is 1 minus alpha over 2. And then the second argument is the degrees of freedom for the t-distribution that we're going to use. And for this application, the degrees of freedom is given by n minus 1. That gives us a critical value of 1.995. And then the interval, as usual, is the sample mean minus the critical value times the standard error for the lower bound, and sample mean plus the critical value times the standard error for the upper bound. So it gives us an interval from 8,357 up to 10,267. So we're 95% confident that the population mean is in our interval. The other way we could do this is use XLSTAT. Okay, but again, I recommend kind of doing it the long way first, just to get to grips with the ideas. And then once you've got the hang of things, you can go to XLSTAT, go to parametric tests, one sample t-test, select the data. So we've got our numbers representing credit card balances. We'll put the output in a new sheet. We'll do a t-test, a student's t-test, instead of the z-test this time. So make sure student's t-test is selected. Under options, we don't really need to change anything here. Just check that the significance level alpha is set at 5%. Under outputs, just make sure confidence interval is selected here and detailed results, and then OK. And then in the output, ignore everything down here. The only stuff we're interested in is right here. The confidence interval is 8,357 rounded to the nearest whole number up to 10,267. And that matches with what we got when we did it kind of the long way.